Hi there, Internet. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To. Let me begin by saying Happy Halloween. Today is the day for candy, costumes, and most importantly, spooky music. Now, I usually have Ghost Olin here to show off some spooky music, perfect for Halloween. The problem is, I don't really know how to get a hold of the guy. He's a ghost. He's dead. Really, it's hard to contact a ghost. So as a sort of summoning ritual, I've decided to just set up the scene for a vlog. I got my microphone there. I got a place for him to sit right there. I got Audacity set up on the laptop there. And then the camera stand right there. Pay no attention to the mess on the couch. This is a messy room, I know, but you know, this is where I do my work. But yeah, so I'm going to set the scene for him to sit on down and bring us some scary music. I don't know how long it's gonna take for him to actually get here, but we'll just place the camera on the tripod here. Come on. My janky tripod that I should probably replace. I don't think it's on. Is it on? Oh, jeez. Oh, man. There we go. Okay, it's on there. No, it's not. I'm gonna edit this out. There we go. Finally. Holy cow. Took me so long. Okay, now, after all of that, we need to set the scene a bit, because I don't think he's gonna want to show up if this isn't framed very well. Okay, zoom on in there. Alright, let's use me as a cheeky little reference there. Let's lower this down a bit. Okay, hey, that looks pretty good. Cool, so, here's the scene, the frame, it looks good. Now, all we're gonna do is start the audio here. She's going. Hello, mic check, hello. Hi. Clap sync. Okay, I'm gonna go leave the room. Possibly leave the house. Leave the camera, leave the audio going. Let's see if he appears. Ooh, I'm a ghost, spooky. Okay, all right. Let's jump right into this.
Don't scream, yeah. It's only Halloween. Don't scream. It's only Halloween.
Hello, Internet! This is Ghost Olin from What I'm Listening To. Hey, guess what? It's Halloween! Woo! I have returned from the dead to bring you even more spooky music. If you are confused as to what's happening, go watch the last year's Halloween video. That's where I made an appearance and showed off some music. This year, I'm doing the same thing. It should come to no surprise. Let's jump right into it. To start things off, the first album I want to talk about today is Sonic Youth's Bad Moon Rising. It may come to no surprise for some of you that I'm including this album on the list, partly because of the cover here, partly because there's a song called Halloween on the album, but mostly because of the album's creepy atmosphere.
Swing your song, twisting your lungs, you slither up to me and it's gotta be, and I don't know.
This is Sonic Youth's second release, and this was back in the day when they were still making experimental, no-wave sounding music. I first got into this album because I read about it in the book Our Band Could Be Your Life. I hadn't heard any of Sonic Youth's older material. my first exposure to the band was through the material on Daydream Nation. So going from that album to this album was pretty jarring, and at the time I first listened to it, I don't really think I liked it as much. This was during a time when I really wasn't crazy about experimental music. But revisiting it now, after having heard a lot of different experimental sounds and a lot of other no-wave sounding bands, I can easily appreciate this album. It's just so dark and menacing, haunting, disturbing, and yet artistic in an ugly sort of way. I think, as of right now, this is my favorite Sonic Youth record, and I recommend any one of you who has not checked it out to check it out, especially since today is Halloween. What a perfect time to listen to an album like this.
Calm me down. City, I love it. Now, now, now. Death of a 69.
The next album I have for you today, I have the Deftones' Saturday Night Wrist. Now, I know some of you are a little confused as to why I'm including a Deftones album on a Halloween vlog. They don't really make Halloween-sounding music, but hear me out on this. The time the band recorded this album was during a very bleak and dark point of their careers, and all of these themes are the subject matter of the songs on this record. The Deftones have always been known for their very atmospheric yet very heavy-sounding songs. This stuff, I think, is some of the darkest material, if not the darkest material, they've ever done. Each song sounds like there's some kind of being looming in the darkness that's gonna come out and get you at any given moment. And if that doesn't seem Halloween to you, then I don't know what will. There's even a song on the album called Beware that's delivered in such a way as if it's talking about some kind of monster that's in the water that will come out and get you. I think the actual meaning of the song is talking about Chino's alcoholism, but whatever meaning you give it, it's still a really creepy sounding song, and I absolutely love it. This is definitely my favorite Deftones album of all time. I know Diamond Eyes and White Pony get all the attention, but I think this one is the best one, for all the reasons I just explained. So if you are looking for some kind of creepy, heavy music, this is an album worth checking out. The next album I have for you today, I have Pyha's The Haunted House. Did I say his name right? I have no idea. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. This is an album I bought kind of impulsively. I had been aware of its existence thanks to folks on internet forums, but I never really listened to the album. When I found a physical copy of this at Amoeba, I couldn't pass it up. It's got a creepy looking cover, it's called The Haunted House, and it was in the metal section. What more could you have wanted? When I bought this album, I was anticipating on hearing a style of metal that was very, very atmospheric, and with the name like The Haunted House, something that was themed around horror. And while that is indeed the case when I finally listened to this album, I was not expecting to hear how raw it was. Doing a little research, I found out that this is a one-man act. One guy playing every single instrument, doing everything on his own, and it sounds like it. I imagine this guy secluded himself in his bedroom or a garage or some small room with all the instruments he needed and a laptop and just banged out each track. The songs are so brutal and unfiltered and unpolished. It's just chaotic, and yet it's so good. I love poor quality sounding black metal music. That was how I was introduced to the genre in the first place, by hearing old live recordings from Mayhem's shows. Though compared to those albums, this one might be a little more polished. It's still pretty terrible sounding, but it's still a very, very spooky and dark listen. If you are in the mood for some black metal that'll both tear your face off, yet will be ambient at the exact same time, this is an album most definitely for you. Alright, Internet, let's get away from the metal music for a little bit, and let's talk about experimental music. The next album I have for you today, I have Vagus Nerve's Go Back to the Serious. At some point, I had to talk about some sort of spooky-sounding experimental record, and I picked this one just because of the themes surrounding it. The two people behind this band both share a mutual interest in ghosts, aliens, witchcraft, the supernatural, the paranormal, all the spooky, creepy stuff that you can possibly think of. And it all culminates into the sounds of their music, sort of like the soundtrack of a horror movie taking place in space. You don't know what's up there, you don't know what's gonna get you, but it is gonna get you. The moment I saw this cover and I heard this music, I fell instantly in love with it. But sadly, this group only has 2 albums. This one and their first album, which is a little hard to get a hold of in the physical format. But big props to UTech Records for releasing material like this. This is a wonderful listen. Everything on here is phenomenal. It's so great. I've heard nothing like it, and I hope one of these days they will come out with more material. Alrighty then, Internet, let's close this list out with some new music that came out this year. I have Clippings, There Existed an Addiction to Blood.
6-6 came, then they saw the true face. Black on black irate. Had them all running scared straight out the gate. Skin do show you who can, that's it though. What's inside never been too simple. Syrup, he sip cause he can't taste his own. Drink it up, drink it up.
I've been a fan of Clipping ever since I first discovered them. Their debut mixtape, I think, is one of the best experimental records I've ever listened to. Not just experimental hip-hop, just in general with experimental music. I never heard a rap album that had backbeats that was just power electronics, let alone didn't even have beats in them at all. That's an album that made me realize how far you could push the hip-hop genre, and it's so amazing. Since hearing that album, I acquired their first 2 records and fell in love with those too. They started getting a little more polished in their recordings, actually adding beats, and even having some really complex narratives, but it was still very experimental and still very noisy. This album definitely follows suits to those previous records, but the difference between those ones and this one is this one explores the genre known as horrorcore. Horrorcore is basically a subgenre of rap music, which all the themes in those songs are all about monsters, murders, blood, gore, you name it. Anything that would really appear in a horror movie is discussed in a horrorcore song. And as the title of this album suggests, it's all about blood. When this album came out, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't listen to any of the singles that were released. I had no idea what any of this was going to sound like, and let alone, I had no idea they were going to be doing horrorcore on here. But after hearing this album once, I was instantly in love with it. And I think this is one of the best albums that have come out this year. The productions are amazing, the features are amazing, the lyrical themes are freaky and weird, and I just cannot get enough of this album. There's even a song on this record that reminds me a lot of that Deftones song Beware. It's got a very similar beat, very similar atmosphere, but it ends in one of the best ways I've heard in a song. Instead of fading out as a lot of normal songs would, the vocals, the music, they all kind of fade up to the point where everything gets more and more distorted, and it just turns into this chaotic sound of static and noise and mayhem, and it keeps going for a full minute and a half. It's a fucking brilliant album, and I love it. I cannot get enough of it. I'm probably going to listen to this after I'm done here. This is an album definitely worth checking out. Thank you, Clipping, and thank you, Sub Pop, for putting this one out. This is the best.
The horror show was so whack. You said you'd never go back, but you standing over the stove talking about you really know crack. Crack is what a skull do. So if someone getting brain, that mean it was nice to know you. The spinal fluid to go to.
Alrighty then, Internet, that does it for me. Hey, if you have any bands or albums you want me to check out, particularly stuff that would be perfect for Halloween, leave a comment down below, and if I like it, maybe I'll feature it in next year's Halloween vlog. Also, if you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll show me the support, and I'll love your face for it. And you can also follow me on Instagram for even more music. I post a new album on there semi-frequently, talk a little bit about it, and it gives you a bit of an insight of what else is in my collection. So, thank you all very much for watching. This is Ghost Olin from What I'm Listening To, signing out. Goodbye! Did I get him? I guess we'll see here.